Hello, Times Square. As you know, most yoga classes cost around $20. Since the class you are about to take is free, please consider making a donation to Community First, a local initiative where community navigators build relationships to help vulnerable people in Times Square get the resources and support they need. You can donate right now by going to tsq.org and make a difference in the world today through yoga. In 2015, the United Nations General Assembly declared June 21st the International Day of Yoga. Times Square is New York City's leading official public site for the International Day of Yoga, in part because of Times Square Alliance's 21-year tradition of hosting this Solstice Yoga event here at the crossroads of the world. Earlier today, we were joined by a dignitary from the Indian Consulate of New York to celebrate the International Day of Yoga here with us in Times Square. Welcome to the 21st annual Solstice in Times Square. Don't forget to stop by the Lifeway Kefir booth for the perfect post-yoga snack. The carbohydrate-protein ratio of Lifeway Kefir helps promote muscle recovery, so namaste, yogis. Be sure to visit Yoga Village on Broadway between 44th and 45th Streets right after class, where there will be a variety of sampling and giveaways. This class is being streamed on Facebook Live and Twitter at Times Square NYC, so text your friends to watch and check your feed later tonight as well. And now, please welcome Times Square Alliance President Tom Harris, along with event co-founder Douglas Stewart.
Hi. Thank you very much, Joe. Good evening, Times Square. Thank you very much for being here tonight for the 21st annual Yoga in Times Square Mind Over Madness. So this started out 21 years ago with 3 people practicing yoga in Times Square. It has grown to over 8,000 people today registering to perform yoga in Times Square. So give yourself a round of applause for being one of the 8,000. The Times Square Alliance is the business improvement district in the area that exists to make Times Square clean, safe, and desirable for all. One of the things we do is great events like this, but it doesn't happen without the hard work and dedication of a lot of men and women at the Times Square Alliance. So give them a round of applause too. New York City is welcoming Times Square is welcoming over 300,000 people a day. And thanks to the hard work of the men and women of the New York City Police Department that are around here, we are safe. So give them a round of applause too. I talked about 3 people being here on that first yoga event at sunrise. To my right is Douglas, one of those 3, so I'll turn it over to Douglas.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you so much. Hi, you guys. Namaste. Thank you so much for coming to practice this evening. Look at the sky. Look at the colors that are around us now. It seems so magical. 21 years ago, Tim Tompkins and I started this event with the idea that, you'd open up the office doors, come out into the middle of the square, do a sun salutation, rid yourself of stress, and go back to work with a nice heart, open mind, balanced and everything, inspired to continue. And 21 years later, that same idea persists. We are intending to open up, come into the middle of the square to breathe, to practice yoga, to align with the day where the sun is the highest point in the sky, summer solstice, to tune towards kindness, I think, really, as you've been practicing for a while, and you know that as we fine-tune our minds and bodies, we move towards peace and kindness to one another, and I think most importantly these days, kindness to the planet. That's our intention, and I hope that you'll find that in this practice tonight and subsequently. Enjoy your practice, everyone. Thank you so much for coming.
Here to lead the last class of the day, he hails from England and has studied all over the world. He began teaching at Pure Yoga in Hong Kong and Singapore. Following his most recent roles of Pure Yoga in Asia, he returned to the USA and joined the Pure Yoga team here in NYC in 2022. Please give a warm Times Square welcome to Matt Boylin.
Namaste, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining me and for the last class of today's wonderful, amazing journey that we've been having. Thank you. So if you haven't done yoga before, or whether you're a seasoned practitioner, we're going to make this practice a grounding practice to see in the sunset for today. Our last practice, I'm going to give you a whole bunch of options as we go through. Make sure you're listening very carefully to your body throughout the practice, especially your knees. We have these beautiful mats that are nice and soft. They're going to protect us. But please, please, please listen to your body throughout your practice. Let's also use this time as well to really bring our focus to the mat. We are in one of the brightest, loudest places in the world. And so let's actually work even harder to close that out and focus on our practice on our mat. So I'm joined this evening with Danielle here on stage. She's going to help me. And we also have on the backstage over here, Kyle, Alyssa, Bria, hey guys, and looking uptown, Connie as well. We're going to make our start seated, so just coming into a comfortable cross-legged position. Whatever feels good for you today. If you have a block at any time, you want to use it, feel free. And we're going to start with the right shin in front in Swastikasana. This is easy seat, nice comfortable position. Rest the palms on the thighs and soften the shoulders. And let's take a moment to close the eyes just for a second. With the eyes closed, just starting to notice the body. Just notice ourselves, all this distraction that's around us. Can we put that away? Can we put that outside? Leaving it off the mat. And bring your attention to your breath, just your natural, comfortable breath. And softening the sit bones down towards the mat. And lean back slightly. Just bring your shoulders over your hips. And notice your breathing. And start to take control of your breath. Take a long, deep, and full breath in through the nose. And pause at the top, open the mouth, let it go. And one more time. Long, deep, full breath in, really filling the body with as much breath as you can. Pause at the top, take another sip of air. Open the mouth and let it go. And bring your palms together at heart center. We're going to start our practice today with a single Om. And whether you want to join in or to just listen, please feel free. And first, we're going to take an exhale, releasing all the breath from the body. And then inhaling for Om. Just noticing that connection with the sound of Om, the connection that brings us together, unity that is yoga. Slowly blink the eyes open. We're going to begin by starting to shake out the wrists a little bit. Just shaking out the wrists, keeping the shoulders soft. Any movements that you might want to add to your practice today, please feel free. If it feels good, go for it. And take a full breath in, reach the arms up, try and touch the sky as you open up the chest, a gentle back bend if you want it. And then forward folding, bring the fingertips down to the floor, the mat in front of you. And keeping the chin lifted, press your sit bones down. Maybe dropping the chest down, coming to the elbows or the forehead or the chin if that feels good. Keeping the body heavy. Just noticing again your breathing. See if you can deepen your breath just a little bit as you inhale. We'll take one more breath here. And starting to walk the hands back towards the shins as you sit tall. And we're going to twist to the right side. As you turn to the right side, take the left hand to the thigh, and then placing the right hand to the mat behind you. As you release your breath, roll the right shoulder back, roll the right ribs back. You may find that you can find a little half bind here if you want to, reaching the right arm behind the back, maybe catching the inner left thigh. And then using the breath, as you release the breath, twist perhaps just a little deeper with that torso. It feels like you're pulling the crown of the head up to the sky. Then releasing, come back to the center. Lean back, take both legs out in front. Remove the flesh from the sit bones. Give the legs a little bit of a shake. And reaching the arms up to the sky and forward fold, Paschimottanasana. As you reach for the feet, you can put a slight bend in the knee if you like. We're working to keep the spine straight. So resisting the urge to drop the chin. Keep pressing the chest forward towards the toes. Looking at the toes. This is where we find out if it's time for a pedicure or not. Maybe a gentle bend in the elbow, pressing the heart a little closer to the feet. I'm going to take 2 more breaths, maybe finding a little more length in the spine. And release, rise all the way up. Shake the legs if you want, and we're going to change the cross of the legs. So this time it's left shin in front. And with a full breath in, reach the arms up to the ceiling. Maybe a gentle back bend and folding as you come down. Fingertips, elbows, forehead or chin. Perhaps just noticing if you feel any difference on this side of the body. Does the hips feel a little different? As we start to build and get a little bit faster in our practice, this practice is going to be a slower, more hatha style, but we are going to have a few more challenging options as we go through. Okay, start to walk your hands back towards the shins, sitting up nice and tall. This time we're twisting to the left side. Crown of the head pulling up, roll and twist. Roll the left ribs back, roll the left shoulder back. Still grounding through both of the sit bones. Maybe finding that little bind if you did it on the other side. Left arm is going to reach behind the back, catching the inner right thigh. Now keep the shoulders moving down away from the ears. And with both sit bones grounded, can we twist a little deeper? Hold there and take a nice deep breath in. Then releasing, come back to the center, lean back, take both legs back out in front again. Paschimottanasana, remove the flesh from the sit bones, arms up. And fold, reach for the feet. As you come down, perhaps maybe finding a little more depth than last time. Maybe a gentle bend in the elbow, pressing the chest towards the toes again. And keeping both sit bones grounded, maybe grounding a little more through the back of the knees as well. Then releasing, rise all the way up, shake the legs if you like. And we're going to swing the legs behind us and come into tabletop pose. Palms are under shoulders, knees are under hips. We're going to keep the knees hip width apart, and you can tuck or untuck your toes, whatever feels good. It's going to warm the wrists up just a little bit by pushing the shoulders forwards. As we bring the shoulders beyond the wrists, activate into the palms. Press down, lifting the knuckles. This is Hasta Bandha. It gives you a nice firm grounding through the palms. And then bring the shoulders back over the wrists again. Turn your thumbs to point forwards. We'll just give ourselves a little bit of gentle rocking, left side, right side. And maybe a few circles with the chest rolling around the wrists. Go one direction, welcome. And reverse, go the other way as well. And coming back to the center, palms down, fingers forwards again for a little bit of cat-cow. So we're going to start with an inhale, lift the hip, lift the heart. As you exhale, round the back, push into the palm. And then at your own pace, inhale to lift the chest, maybe lengthen the throat a little. Exhale, round the back, push into those palms, a deep protraction here. Beautiful, inhale, find your breath. Maybe it's time to add a little extra movement if you want to, swaying the shoulders, swaying the hips. If it feels good, this is your practice. Do it today. As you press the hips back, maybe rolling, almost touching the heels into child's pose. And as you round the shoulders, maybe chin touches the chest, keeping that nice deep protraction in the shoulders again. We'll just take 2 or 3 more breaths with any movement that feels good for your body. Just noticing the breath and still keeping that presence on your mat. And then after your next exhale, we're going to come back to a neutral position. Palms are grounded, knees are still hip width apart. We're going to take the right arm in front, reach forward, and then left leg is back. Really energize. Keep the fingers and toes active here. Now finding your balance by pulling the ribs in towards the spine, keeping the core engaged. You may find that you want to go a little bit deeper. If the knee is feeling okay, it's half bow pose. If you're going to take half bow, bend the left leg. We're going to reach the right hand back to catch the foot. Energize your toes as you start to kick back and up. Open up the chest. Start to notice that opening in the shoulder on the right side. Maybe notice the hip flexor. Maybe, how does that quad feel? Beautiful. And release. Come back to your tabletop. 3 breaths in cat-cow. Inhale to lift the heart, lift the hip. And then as you exhale, round your back. And again, just noticing that breath and that movement with the body. And if it feels good, add that movement, whatever feels good. And then coming back to a nice stable tabletop position again, and we're going to switch sides. So this time the left arm is in front, The right leg reaches back. Active toes, active fingers, really energizing and lengthening the body. And now you're welcome to stay here, work on that balance. Or maybe find that half bow pose, bending the right leg, reach the left hand back to catch the foot, energize the toes. It's going to protect your knee. Now as you start to kick back and up, feel the chest open. Maybe look forward, just notice the difference in how this feels instead of looking to the left side. Take 2 or 3 more breaths. And releasing, come back to your tabletop pose. 3 breaths in your cat-cow. Inhale to lift the heart, lift the hip. Exhale to round the back. Good, keep going. Notice that retraction, protraction in the shoulders. Notice that pelvic tilt as the hips lift and tuck. One more time. Coming back to a neutral position, just bring your palms slightly further forward, tuck your toes, downward facing dog. Push into the palms, send your hips up high, and then find your breath again. As you start to come into Ardha Mukha Svanasana, the first downward facing dog, use this time to ground into the palms. Let's put a slight bend in your knees. Send your sit bones a little bit higher as you press into the palms. Maybe press the heels down a little bit more. I'm going to take the right leg up to the ceiling. Bend the knee, open the hip up. And again, keeping the toes energized. Maybe a few small circles. Roll the knee one direction. And then reversing, roll the other direction. And looking between the thumbs, we're going to step the right foot forward, drop the left knee down. As you come into a low lunge, Anjaneyasana. Option 1, palms are on thigh, nice and stable. Option 2, arms up to the ceiling. Reach up to the sky, open the chest. Option 3, take the hands behind the back, interlace the fingers. Maybe squeeze the palms as you press the hip forward. If you're comfortable, you can drop the head back, open up the chest. Hold for 3. Keep breathing. Do not lose your breath. 2. 1 more full breath. And releasing. Come forward for high plank pose. Palms to the top. We're going to step the right leg back. As you check in with your plank pose, anytime you want to drop the knees, that's fine. But check in with your plank, rounding your back slightly. Push the back of your heart up to the ceiling. Now press your heels back if the knees are lifted and pull the chest forward. Can you find more length in your plank? Beautiful. Now move the shoulders away from the ears. Now the good news is we're only going to hold this for 10 minutes today. That's it. I promise. Well, the world record is 9.5 hours, just over. We've got that right. We're yogis. We can take it. All right, drop the knees down, drop the chest and the chin. Coming into Ashtanga Namaskar, keep the hips up high. Now this might feel a little intense, so if you want to come all the way down to the stomach, that's fine. Draw the elbows into the ribs and maybe take a couple of breaths into your stomach. Notice as you balloon your stomach. Maybe asking ourselves, was it a bad mistake or was it a bad idea to have an early dinner? If you did have an early dinner, I can't tell you no, but you know. I'm going to slide forward for Cobra pose. Draw the chest down through the mat. Roll the shoulders back, start to lift the chest up. As you press into the palms, try and get a little bit broader across the upper chest. So collarbones are going to spread wide. Maybe start to straighten the arms a little bit more. And downward facing dog, Ardha Mukha Svanasana. Maybe tucking the toes or pressing and rolling over the toes. Take a couple of breaths here. We're going to take the left leg up to the ceiling, bend the knee, open up the hip. Still with those energized toes to protect the knee. Palms are going to stay grounded, maybe a few gentle circles, rolling that knee one direction, and then rolling the other direction as well. As we start to get a little warmer into the hips. Then taking a look between the thumbs, let's go ahead and step the left foot forward, drop the right knee down. As you come into your Anjaneyasana, find your low lunge. So option 1, palms on thigh. Option 2, reach up to the sky. Option 3, open the chest, fingers behind the back. This time as you interlace, cross the other thumb. Squeeze the palms, let the chest open. Really draw the knuckles back if you're in this position. Maybe press the hip forward. Start to notice that hip flexor, that quad again on the right side this time. Do you feel any difference between this side and the other side? One more full breath, And as you release, plank pose. Bring the palms to the top, step the left leg back. And keeping the tailbone tucking under in your plank, so glutes are tight. Draw those lower ribs in towards the spine, please. Can you push the back of your heart up to the ceiling just a little bit more? Find that deep protraction in the shoulders. How much do we like plank? Not that much, apparently. All right, drop the knees, drop the chest, drop the chin as you come down, or all the way down to the stomach, your choice. And sliding forward for Cobra pose. Roll the shoulders down the spine again. Again, getting a little broader across the upper chest. Maybe straightening the arms, but keep the shoulders moving down away from the ears. Good. Imagine you're going to squeeze a pencil between the shoulder blades, wrapping the shoulder blades around that pencil. Downward facing dog. Tuck or roll the toes, lift the hips up. Beautiful, yogis. As we're taking a more grounding practice, holding those postures just a little longer, not working so fast as we would in a vinyasa. Now, pressing into the palms, start to look towards the top of your mat. Lift your heels and bend your knees. We're going to start to tiptoe. Maybe work to keep your palms grounded as you tiptoe all the way to the top of the mat. And then when you get to the top, drop the heels, grab your opposite elbows. Just give yourself a little gentle swaying. Left side, right side. Maybe shake the head, yes and no. Changing the grip of the hands as well. Then dropping the hands down, again, bend in the knees, slowly rise all the way up, Urdhva Hastasana. We're going to reach up to the sky. You can keep this a little more stable with the feet hip width apart if you like. And then big Y shape with our arms, opening up, ready to welcome the sunset this evening. We're going to turn the palms forward, make some fists, and like a pull-up, start to cactus your arms. Beautiful. Let the chest open. Now, maybe stay here looking forward, so you're going to keep your balance a little easier, or start to press the hip forward and go back. If you're going to take a back bend, press the weight to the toes. Ground your toes down, roll your thighs in, maybe lift the chest a little higher, lengthen your abdomen. Good, elbows a little lower. Take a full breath. As you exhale, use the thighs to come all the way up, and forward fold, come all the way down. Grab the opposite elbows again. Maybe a gentle nodding of the head, yes and no again, shaking out. And dropping the hands down, lift and lengthen, come up halfway. We're going to step the left leg back, drop the left knee down, coming back into that low lunge position. This time, take your hips back for Ardha, half Hanumanasana, half split. Start to flex your right foot. We're going to bring that right heel slightly further forward, just so we're working with the knee under the hip on the left side. If you have blocks, feel free to use them. Those of you comfortable with the fingers, you're welcome to fold. As you start to fold, those right toes are going to try and open to the right side. So roll your right thigh in towards the mat, in and down. Now hold that and pull the right hip back. Maybe fold a little deeper. Take a full breath here. Really breathe into the hips. Breathe into the legs. As you release, come all the way up. Rebend your right knee back to your low lunge. We're going to reach up and over this time. Maybe press the hip forward, opening up the chest again. And then palms to the top. We're going to keep the left hand down and take the right arm to the ceiling for a twist. And keeping that left palm grounded, you're welcome to keep your left knee down here or lift your left knee up. If you're going to work harder today, you're going to keep your knee lifted. If you want to keep it a little easier, you're going to keep your knee down. We're going to move into side plank. Start to lift the hips up, push into that left palm, roll onto the outer edge of your left foot, and step or swing your right leg back. As you find side plank, left knee can come down anytime. Lift your right hip as high as you can, almost finding a curve, an arch to the outer ribs on the left side. And then we're going to release back to downward facing dog. Right palm to the top, lift your hips back up. You may find that you want to add an up dog here or there. That's fine. It's your practice, remember. That's fine. And then pressing into the palms, lift your heels, bend the knees, and start to tiptoe to the top again. As you start to tiptoe, heels as high as you can. When you get to the top, ground the heels. This time, lift and lengthen. Come up halfway. Take your hands behind the back, interlace the fingers, squeeze the palms, and dive back down. As you start to fold, maybe bring the palms closer together. You're going to notice more depth in the shoulders. Beautiful. Drop the hands down, put a bend in your knees, rise all the way up. Urdhva Hastasana, reaching up to the ceiling. Right up to the ceiling that is the sky today. Press the hip forward, maybe a back bend, and then bring your hands to heart. And stand tall. Good. Draw your lower ribs in, tuck your tailbone. And reaching up back up for your Urdhva Hastasana, lengthen, maybe a little back bend if you want it, and forward fold. Come all the way down. Lift and lengthen. Come up halfway. Take your hands behind the back. Interlace the fingers the opposite way. The other thumb is on top. And dive down. Maybe shifting a little more weight to the toes if that feels good. But grounding through the heels, grounding through the balls of the feet. Lift the sit bones up. And keeping the legs energized as you roll the thighs inwards. Beautiful. Drop the hands down, lift and lengthen, come up halfway. You're stepping the right leg back this time. Drop the right knee down. As you come up for that low lunge, reach the arms up to the ceiling and then find your half split. Take your hips back and straighten your left leg. And as you fold, we're still going to roll that left thigh in and down. Roll the left thigh in and down towards the mat. Maybe walking your fingers slightly further forward. Now, keeping the chin lifted, let's look towards the toes for this one. One more breath in our half split, and then we're going to re-bend that left knee. Reach up and over if you want to. Take that full breath, and then bring both hands back to the top of the mat. Keep the right hand on the mat. We're going to twist with the left arm up to the sky. As you roll the left ribs back and up, roll the left shoulder away from the left thigh. Maybe tucking the right toes under. If you want to lift that right knee up, feel free. Now we are going to be moving into Vashisthasana, side plank. So preparing as you press that right palm down, get the energy from the hips lifting up. Still energize the left fingers up to the sky. Side plank. Let's roll onto the outer edge of the right foot and then swing that left leg back. Left hip is high. High as you can make it today. Keep drawing the ribs in, press strong into that right palm. You have 2 more breaths. Last breath, downward facing dog. Let's release to the mat. If you'd like to take a little child's pose here, feel free. We're going to take 3 breaths. Whether you're going to take Balasana or Ardha Mukha Svanasana in your downward facing dog, keep your connection with your breath. Ask yourself, are we still completely here? Are we present on our mat right now? And coming back to your downward facing dog if you're not already there. Let's take the right leg up to the ceiling and lengthen. Keep the leg straight this time. Inner rotate your right thigh. Drop the right hip down. Can you get a little bit longer as you reach up? Take a full breath in, and we're going to bring the right knee to the nose, rounding your back. Take a full breath here. Kick it back up, down dog split. 2 more times. Right knee to the nose, and you're welcome to hold your down dog instead if you want to. Kick the right leg back up. 1 more time. Right knee to the nose and hold. Beautiful. Kick back up to the ceiling, back up to the sky. This time, bend that right leg, open up, and outer rotate your right thigh. Now we're going to take a look, and we're going to step the right foot outside of the right palm as you come forward. As you find lizard pose, Uttan Prasthasana. Moving the right foot forward slightly, so we've got the knee over the ankle. Staying on the palms, keeping it a little easier if you want to, or dropping down if you have blocks or forearms. If you'd like to add a little bit of functional movement here, feel free. So tucking the left toes under, lift up the left knee. Maybe a little gentle movement back and forth. Just noticing hip flexor, how do we feel in the glutes? Maybe a slight bounce up and down if that feels good. And then if that left knee is lifted, drop it back down. We're going to turn the right toes out to about 45 degrees. take the right palm to the inner right thigh. Just give yourself gentle pressure down and away to open up into the inner thigh. And then roll the right shoulder back. Roll the right ribs back. If you'd like to stay here, feel free. Otherwise, we're going to add the quad stretch by reaching the right arm back, bending the left leg. Catch the left foot, energize the toes again to protect your knee. And maybe stay here, or if you want to go a little deeper, you can start to draw that heel in towards the glute. Two more breaths here. And we're going to release for downward facing dog, palms to the top, step it straight back. Well done. And take a moment to start to notice, do we feel that difference between the left side and the right side again? Do we notice how the body is feeling? Does the hip flexor on the left side feel more open than the right at this point? Let's go ahead and take the left leg up to the ceiling. Ground through the palms, lengthen, and we're working with flexion extension. So inner rotate your left thigh, keep the left leg straight, drop the left hip down. Toes are energized. Beautiful. Knee to the nose, come forward, round your back, push into the palms, deep protraction. Two more times, kick it up. Knee to the nose. And again, if you want to hold your down dog split instead, that's fine. Let's kick up one more time. Knee to the nose and hold. Take a full breath here. Beautiful. Kick back up, bend the knee, open the hip up. Keep those toes energized. Holding here with that nice scorpion tail, both palms grounded. And then just being mindful of your neighbor, let's step the left foot forward outside the left palm. As you come into your lizard, so we're still working with knee over ankle in your lizard pose. Again, right knee can drop down if you want to. Maybe come down to the forearms or staying just on the palms but bending the elbows slightly, but come inside the thigh. If you'd like, perhaps lifting that right knee up, a little gentle rocking back and forth again if it felt good, a slight bounce up and down in the hips if that feels nice as well. And resisting the urge to drop the head back, lengthen through the neck. If the right knee is lifted, go ahead and drop it back down again. Turn your left toes out to point about 45 degrees. Left palm is going to come to the inner left thigh this time. So pressing down and away, opening up into that inner hip. Maybe rolling the left ribs back a little more, rolling the left shoulder back, finding that little lift in the heart, but still keeping length through the ribs. Again, maybe staying here. If this is enough for you, please do so. Otherwise, we're going to add that quad stretch. So left arm is going to reach back. As you start to bend the right leg, energize those right toes. Maybe start to draw that right heel in towards the glutes. Give yourself 2 or 3 breaths here. And then releasing the foot, stepping straight back, downward facing dog, Ardha Mukha Svanasana. Beautiful, yogis. Now from this down dog, let's just take a few moments to lengthen a little bit more through the back of the body. So just take a look at the feet for a second. As you look back, we're going to take the feet hip width apart. Now bending the knees. Let's make sure you can't see any of the heels as you look through the space between the feet. So inner rotate the thighs, outer rotate the glutes, and you're going to feel like your heels move outward slightly. Then press your heels back down. Now see if we can press into the palm and get the hips up a little bit higher. All right, taking your right leg straight back up to the ceiling. Right knee to the nose as you come forward. We're going to step the right foot straight through to the top of the mat. Drop the left knee back down again. Back to your half split. Take your hips back. Flex your right foot in your Ardha Hanumanasana. Let's bring that right heel slightly further forward again. Now bring the fingertips or the palms under the shoulders without folding this time. And we're going to start to add a little bit of a strength exercise. We're going to start to add some fire into the quads. Energize your toes. You can point them, flex them, or floint them. I don't mind. Choose one. They're all fun. Roll the thighs inwards. Round your back. Maybe lift the right foot off the floor as you energize into the quad. If you like, if it feels good, a little gentle pulsing, couple of breaths. And then releasing, bring the right foot back down. Can we lift the foot? It's hard, right? It's hard. All right. Keep the knee grounded. We'll try one more time. Those of you that can lift it, tuck your left toes under and hover your left knee off the floor. This is much harder. You've got to use your core a lot more. All right, lengthen through the chest, shoulders away from ears. Lift the right foot off the floor. 3, 2, 1. Maybe pulse. Toes are energized. 3, get it up. 2, well done. 1, release. Bring everything down. Well done. Bring your palms to the top of the mat, re-grounding. Exhale to twist. Right arm up to the ceiling. Maybe lifting that left knee if you want to and moving back into side plank. Roll onto the outer edge. Swing the right leg back. Lift the hips high. Any variation for your side plank if it feels good, but keep the hips as high as you can. And then releasing for downward facing dog. Palms to the top and hips high. Well done. Now start to ask, how does that right quad feel compared to the left? Oh my goodness. All right, let's take the left leg up to the ceiling. Full breath in. Knee to the nose, round the back. Draw the ribs in, look between the thumbs. Let's step the left foot forward, drop the right knee back down. All right, let's find your half split. Take your hips back, straightening the left leg. Flex the foot, energize it, point it, floint it, whatever feels good. They all feel good, just keep it fired up. Palms or fingertips are under the shoulders, arms are straight. Round your back. The first one is with the knee grounded. Energize the toes and lift that left foot off the floor. Whoa, strong people here today. Strong people here today. Well done. Maybe a little pulsing. Give it a go. Well done. Bring it back down. All right, this time, again, if you're struggling to lift it, keep it. Stay with the knee down. Those of you who are able to lift the foot, tuck your right toes under, lift the right knee up, and let's lift all the way off the floor. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Left foot lifts. Good. Hold. Maybe pulse. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. Well done. Palms to the top. Bend your left leg. Come forward. Keep the right hand on the mat at the top. Twist. Take the left arm up to the sky. Maybe you can keep that right knee down if you like, or lift the right knee up for side plank, Vashisthasana, rolling onto the outer edge of that right foot, stepping or swinging the left leg back. But take the same variation of Vashisthasana. Some of you had tree, some of you had Utthita Hasta Vashisthasana, holding the toe, but keep the hips lifting high. Beautiful. One more breath. Downward facing dog. Let it go. Well done. Well done. Now just take a moment to recognize where you are right now. Are we feeling energized? Are we feeling tired? We're in Times Square. Take a long, deep, and full breath in through the nose. Get as much breath into the body as you can. Open up. Open the mouth. Let it go. Ah. Beautiful. One more time. Long, deep, full breath in. Open the mouth. Let it go. Pressing into your palms, lift your heels, and start to tiptoe to the top of the mat. Take your time. When you get there, drop the heels. Grab your opposite elbows if you want to. Gently sway, left side, right side. Nod the head, yes and no. And bending the knees, start to roll up from vertebrae by vertebrae, coming all the way up to standing. Hands to heart center, stand tall. We're going to take a little bit of balancing, bring our attention back to the breath, and be grounding ourselves down. We're going to start by lifting the left knee first. Left knee lifts. If you want to keep your palms at the heart center, feel free. If you feel more stable on the hips, go ahead. Or maybe arms up or looking up if you want to challenge yourself a little more today. Maybe extending that left leg forward. Again, toes are energized. Shoulders are going to move down away from the ears. And we're going to be careful of our neighbor as we start to swing that left leg back to Warrior 3. Chest is going to pull forward as you extend through the heel or the toes, if that feels good. But lengthen the body, but find your breath to find your balance. Coming back into low lunge, let's step that left foot all the way back, keeping the hands to heart if you like. And we're going to take a twist to the right side. So left elbow or wrist is going to come outside of the right thigh. If you'd like to keep your hands in namaste for your twist, right hand compressed down. If you're comfortable to spread the wings, feel free. Left hand is down, right hand is up. And if you'd like to bind, if you're comfortable, I'm going to flip the right palm to point away from the heart, bending the elbow, and the left arm is going to come under the outer right thigh. Maybe challenge yourself a little more today by looking up, tucking the left toes under, and lifting the left knee. Nice and smooth if you're here. Now draw your right hip back. See if we can lengthen those right ribs a little bit more. Beautiful, yogis. We're going to release for warrior two. Drop that left heel down, open up to the left side. Shoulders are going to still be soft away from the ears. Take a moment to settle into warrior two here. Make sure you're tucking that right hip under so that the right knee is going to feel like it's moving a little bit towards the right side of your mat. Nice and firmly grounded through that left pinky toe. And like a warrior, our drishti is like a laser beam over that index finger of the right hand. If you want to, a little gentle bouncing, just seeing how hips feel on the left side. Again, welcome to stay here or adding that little functional movement again. So with your breath, if you want to, we're going to straighten the right leg, palms together overhead. Full breath in. And then back to warrior two, re-bending the right knee. 2 more times. Coming together overhead, right leg straight. Back to warrior two. 1 more time, arms up overhead. Hold here this time. Now we're going to turn the right toes to point to the left side. And forward fold. Come down, nice wide-legged fold. Bring the hands down to the floor. Okay, keeping the chin lifted, resist the urge to try and bring the chin towards the chest. Focus more on lengthening your spine. So pressing into the feet, press the sit bones up. Shoulders are still going to move down away from the ears. Maybe shifting a little more weight to the toes. If it's comfortable, feel free to grab the feet, grab the toes. Maybe a gentle pull, but still with that chin away from the chest. And coming up halfway, walk your hands to the top of the mat, re-bending your right knee, dropping your left knee down. Okay, we're going back to that half split position, taking your hips back, starting to flex the right foot, bring the right heel forward. You're welcome to stay in a half split, maybe a little gentle fold if you want to, keeping this a little easier today. If you'd like to work a little harder, maybe taking that left knee further back a little bit more, finding a slightly deeper front split. If you're going to work into a full Hanumanasana, if that's part of your practice, start to draw the left knee back. As you start to come down, shoulders are over the hips. Work with what your body is telling you feels right today. Okay. Now bring your attention to your back leg, so your left thigh. Roll your left thigh in and down towards your mat, wherever you are, half or full. This is our resting pose. All right. All right, we're going to make our way back to down dog. So tucking your left toes under, bring your left knee forward slightly. You can step straight back. If you feel like you want to add a little flow, feel free, that's fine. We'll all meet in downward facing dog. Take a moment again to listen to that breath. Notice your breath. And pressing into the palms, lift the heels, rounding the back. Start to tiptoe to the top of the mat again. Working to keep the palms grounded, so we're really finding that strength in the arms. When you get to the top, grab the opposite elbows again. Use the weight of your upper body. Gently sway in Ragdoll. Maybe a gentle shaking of the head, yes and no. Release any final tension. And drop the hands down, put a bend in your knees, rise all the way up. Reaching up to the sky, palms together, and then hands to heart center, standing tall. And this time we're lifting the right knee, balancing on that left foot. Maybe you're staying here today, maybe it's hands on hips if that feels good. This is the real test when we balance to block out all other distraction. Can you feel your breath? Now work with the same variation. Perhaps you had arms up, perhaps you had the leg extended forward. Can we soften the shoulders a little more, but still lengthen the arms, fingers to the sky? As we prepare for warrior three, we're going to start to swing that right foot back. Pull the heart forward as you come down. Find your breath. So you work with equal and opposite energies in Virabhadrasana 3. So right heart pulls forward. Right heart, left heart, both hearts, all hearts. We have lots of heart in New York, right? 2 more breaths. Last breath, let's go back to that low lunge. Step the right foot all the way back, drop the right knee down. Now you can keep your hands at the heart. We're going to twist to the left side. So maybe bringing the right elbow outside the left thigh, or perhaps, woo, there we go. Or can we twist? We should have the left leg forward, left leg. Just double check which leg you have forward, please. And work with the game with the same variation. So perhaps it's hands to heart, perhaps we're spreading the wings, or perhaps you're working on that bind. Left arm is going to reach up and over. Roll the left shoulder back in the twist. Maybe tucking the right toes under and lifting up that right knee. Find that engagement in the core. Draw the ribs in. Use transverse abdominis, life-changing muscle. The muscle just below the lower ribs, above the belly button. We have 1 more breath here. Keep pulling that chest forward. And then releasing for warrior 2, dropping that right heel down. Open up to the right side. Tucking the left hip under, rolling the thighs out. And again, take a moment to settle into Virabhadrasana 2. Working with shoulders over hips so we're not lunging forward. And we still feel that energy of the right fingers pulling towards the back of your mat. Now again, maybe you're staying here and holding, or maybe we're going to add that extra movement. So left leg straightens, maybe palms together overhead. Back to warrior 2. Beautiful. 2 more times. Left leg straightens, arms up, and back to your warrior 2. 1 more time. Left leg straightens, arms up, holding here. Turn the left toes to point to the right side, and fold. As you come into a wide-legged fold, hands down. Maybe bend the knees a little bit here if you want to. This time, the option to add gentle twist if you want. Come up halfway if you're going to twist. We're going to bring the left hand directly under the heart. Take the right palm to the lower back. As you pull the hips back, pull the heart forward, and then roll your right shoulder back. Roll the right ribs back and up. Maybe release the right arm to the sky. Or finding a half bind, right arm is behind the back, catching the inner left thigh. And then switching sides, bring the right hand to where the left hand is, and then left palm can come to the lower back. Release the breath, roll the left ribs back and up, roll the left shoulder, maybe left arm to the sky. Maybe binding if you did it on the other side. Release back to your fold, hands to the mat. Maybe a couple of breaths, keeping the chin away from the chest. And come up halfway, lift and lengthen. Start to walk your hands to the top of the mat, framing your left foot, lift the right heel, and then dropping your right knee down. Go back to your half split, start to take your hips back again. Maybe starting to bring that left heel slightly further forward. If it's there for you, moving more into Hanumanasana, and maybe taking that right knee further back. Again, notice the difference. Does it feel a lot more intense on this side? Or does it feel a little easier? Just being mindful of the differences between the 2 sides of the body in our practice. Still with the attention on that right thigh for a moment. Let's roll that right thigh in and down, whether you're in half or full split. 1 more breath, then we're going to make our way back to downward facing dog. Tuck the right toes under, start to bring that right knee forward, and you can step straight back. And pressing into the palms, lift the heels. And start to tiptoe to the top of the mat. And again, taking as much time as you like to get there, really working to that strength into the shoulders. When you get to the top, drop the heels, keep the feet hip width apart. We're going to turn the toes out 45 degrees. We're going to squat down to Malasana. Bring the hands into the heart center, press the chest in towards the thumbs. Spine is nice and straight. Maybe stay here, just giving yourself a little gentle rocking, left side, right side. Those of you who would like to take Karkasana or Bakasana as a hand balance here are welcome to do so. So remember, when you're going to place the palms down, the index finger is in line with the shoulder. We're creating a triangle with the chest and the heart pulling forward. Knees outside the elbows is easier. Knees on the back of the arms is harder. Look forward, lift your heels. Find your Hasta Bandha. We had it at the start, the knuckles lift. Hips are high, look forward, press the knees forward. Squeeze the heels to the glutes. Again, keeping the toes energized. Point or flex. 2 or 3 breaths here. Good, lift the chin, look forward. Last breath. Well done. Back to Malasana, bring the heels down. Hands to heart center, shake the wrists out if you want to. All right, taking both arms out in front with a big smile. Start to slowly sit back into boat pose. As we start to, I know everyone loves boat, right? So quiet. Start to sit back. As you come down, use the core, land with a little plop if you want to. Lift up the knees. Option 1, you're going to hold the back of the legs, keeping the knees bent, still with the toes engaged. This will take some of the core work out of it. Option 2, we're going to extend the legs up to the ceiling, still holding the back of the legs. Option 3, release the legs, use that core. Maybe palms up, reach the fingers forward. Good. Option 4, challenge your balance. Grab the back of the legs, look at the toes. We're going to reach and press the heart up the thighs and balance all the way, just gently on the spine. 2 or 3 breaths, lengthen as much as you can with the chest. And release as slow as you can. Come all the way down to the mat. Lay completely flat. Now you may feel like you want a 12-minute Shavasana, that's fine. But just take a moment to recognize any differences you may feel with the body right now. Now we get a little bit warmer into the core today. We're going to extend both legs up to the ceiling. Squeeze the thighs together. Again, point, flex, or floint your feet. We're going to keep them energized. Keeping the legs together, take a full breath in. And if you want to keep this a little easier, you can place the palms under the lower back, so you're sitting on the back of your hands. And as we exhale, we're going to lower the feet down 1/3 of the distance towards the floor. Pause and hold here. Then we're going to lower 2/3. Pause and hold. Then coming into low boat, hover the heels, lift up the head and shoulders, reaching the palms forward. Good, beautiful boats. Beautiful boats. All right, here's the fun part. Squeeze the thighs, lift the legs back up, and bring the shoulders back down. Good, keep the legs up to the ceiling. The good news is we're going to do that 3 more times. All right. Lower the feet down 1/3 and pause. Beautiful. Lower 2/3 and pause. Good. Low boat. Ardha Navasana. Head and shoulders up. Keep that little smile on. It does make it easier. I promise. I promise. All right. Legs up. Shoulders down. Well done. 2 more to go. That's all. Lower 1/3 and pause. Lower 2/3 and pause. Low boat. Ardha Navasana. Head and shoulders are up. Good. And again, lift that chin slightly. Can we keep the shoulders moving down? Can we add a bigger smile? Because it's so much fun, right? Good. Squeeze the legs. Take them back up. And shoulders down. Last time. Lower 1/3. Pause and hold for 3, 2, 1. Lower 2/3 and hold. 3, 2, 1. Low boat. Head and shoulders up. I know, that's the really hard one. Getting up on that last time. Keep smiling, please. Keep breathing. For 5. Those of you that want more are going to move to high boat. In 4, lifting the feet. Lift the chest. In 3, how high can we get the legs as we lift up? In 2, take a full breath in. 2.5. I'm not letting you go yet. And release. Well done. Bring it down. Bring the feet together. Let the knees go wide. Supta Baddha Konasana. Soften the inner thighs, soften the sit bones down. And bringing the knees back together and into the chest. Maybe a little happy baby if that feels good. If you want some happy baby, you're going to take your arms up the inside of the legs, but catch the outside of the feet or the big toes. Ground your lower back down. And just being mindful of your neighbor. If you want to gently rock a little bit, left side, right side, feel free. If you know your neighbor, or maybe if you don't know them, yoga is unity. Maybe a high five with the feet. Then releasing, bring the knees back into the chest. And we're going to take a bridge pose for placing the feet on the mat. You can start hip width apart. If you're feeling a little tight in your lower back, take your feet wider towards the edges of the mat. Start to roll your thighs inwards. Press the shoulders down. Let's begin by lifting the hips up first. Okay, roll the shoulders under. Press the forearms down. Maybe interlace the fingers under the lower back. Now can we soften the face? Can we soften the jaw? And then can we lift the hip higher, still keeping that softness in the face? Then releasing, come all the way back down, Supta Baddha Konasana, feet together, knees wide. Now we're going to go up one more time. Those of you who would like to take wheel pose, if you're familiar with Chakrasana or Urdhva Dhanurasana, place the palms under the shoulders and press up. Setting up bridge or wheel pose. Feet grounded. Weight is in the toes. Roll the thighs in. 3, 2, and 1. Lift the hips up high. Good. Again, if you're finding it a little tight in the lower back, take the feet wider. As you press into the palms, maybe start to press the heart towards the back of the mat. Grounding into the toes. Send the sit bones up. Take 2 more full breaths. Beautiful. Well done. Last breath, and if you're coming down from your wheel, bring your chin to your chest and come all the way down to the shoulders. If you want to bring the knees in, feel free, or maybe feet together, knees wide again, if you like your Supta Baddha Konasana. We're going to roll to sit up. If you'd like to take both legs up to the ceiling to make this a little more challenging, feel free. Starting to lower the heels all the way down to the floor. Coming through low boat, lift up the head and shoulders, reach the arms up to the ceiling. Maybe keep lifting. Are we there? Good. Heels down. Forward fold. Paschimottanasana. Tanasana. Well done. Sit bones still grounded. Chin is still lifting. Let's keep that length in the spine. Then releasing, rise all the way up. A little shake in the legs if you like. We're going to bend the right leg, placing the sole of the right foot inside the left thigh, Janu Shirshasana. And take a full breath in, arms up. Exhale to fold, reaching for that left foot. You have to work a little bit harder to press that left sit bone down, but again, keeping the spine straight. Maybe a gentle bend in that left knee if it's out of reach. And releasing, rise all the way up, switching legs, right leg in front, and bending the left leg, sole of the left foot is inside the right thigh. Sit bones grounded, arms up, full breath, and exhale to fold, reach towards the foot. And again, do we feel this extra length that we've created in our practice today? Through the back of the legs, through the glutes? Do we notice extra length in the spine? And releasing, rise all the way up. Give the legs a little bit of a shake. Take them both out in front. Knees to the chest and lay back down again. We're going to drop the knees down to the left side. Take your arms out to shoulder height. As you're close to your neighbor, feel free to cactus your arms. And looking over the right shoulder. Of course, if you know your neighbor, or if you don't, maybe a smile at this point. Maybe a nod, a wink, a hello as we reach the end of our practice, or maybe a fist bump, or perhaps a crisp high five, whatever feels right. And then switching sides, release, come back through the center. If you want knees to chest, feel free. And then dropping the knees down to the right side, looking over that left shoulder. And we're working to keep that left shoulder grounded so the upper left ribs are grounding down. If you happen to find this a little easier, bringing the knees closer to the armpits will make this a little more challenging for you. Then releasing, come all the way back to the center. Lift up the head and shoulders, bring the knees into the chest, wrap yourself into a tiny little ball. One final blast of energy before our Shavasana as we release and welcome in the end of the Solstice 2023. For this blast of energy, keep the head and shoulders lifted, release the shins, hover the back of your hands off the edges of the mat, reach the palms forwards. Beautiful. Now we're going to straighten the legs, hover the heels off the edge of the mat. So we're finding this lifted Shavasana. All right, energize. Nice tight fists with your hands. Reach the toes away. Good. Press your lower back down. Now screw up your face. Screw up and tighten every muscle in your body. Lift the cheeks higher. Feel that energy, that beautiful energy that you've created today. Good. Hips press down. Chest up higher. Bigger smile. Take a full breath. Let it go, Shavasana. Close your eyes. As you start to find stillness, heaviness, finding calmness with the body. Perhaps keeping your attention on your breath, or at this point letting it go, but just being completely present on your mat. And starting to scan your body. And as you scan, working to release any areas of tension or stress you may feel. As you soften your face, relax your tongue, relax your jaw, and soften your throat. And soften the fingers and the toes. And just noticing how this little extra softness makes the arms, the legs feel heavier. And can you allow yourself, through another layer of softness, to allow the whole of your back body to press into your mat with no effort at all? Notice your breath at its natural rhythm. Notice the gentle breeze as it blows across the skin. And start to take control of the breath again. Give yourself a gentle, deeper inhale, and then lengthen your exhale. If you'd like to bring a little bit of movement to the fingers and toes, or bring one hand to the heart, one hand to the stomach, feel free. If you'd like a full body stretch, just be mindful of your neighbor behind you, keeping your arms perhaps a little higher. Taking a full breath in, get long, reach the feet to the front. Reach the fingers to the back. Now let the ribs flare open if you're stretching. Lift the lower back, really opening up, full morning stretch. And then release, let it go. Bring the knees in towards the chest. And either dropping the knees to one side or rolling to come to a seated position. And bring the palms together at heart center. One final time, perhaps closing the eyes, just feeling the breeze and observing and feeling the lights of the city. Again, knowing that beautiful connection that we've created with each other, Taking a long, deep, and full breath in. As you exhale, bow the head to the heart. With gratitude, I thank you for joining me for your practice today. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. What a beautiful energy you all have. Thank you so much for joining me. Any questions, I'll be here if you want to have a chat as well. All right, have a beautiful rest of your solstice. Whatever you do, have fun. We saw the sunset in as much as we could in the city. Thank you very much. Thank you. And thank
Times Square, give it up one more time for Matt Boylin. And that concludes our Solstice in Times Square 2023. Please stop by the Yoga Village on Broadway between 44th and 45th Streets before you leave today. Thank you to all of our partners, our instructors, our attendees, and all of the hardworking staff at Times Square Alliance for putting on this event. Spread the good karma by making a donation to the Community First, a new initiative where community navigators help vulnerable people in Times Square get the resources and support they need. You can donate right now by going to tsq.org and make a difference in the world today through yoga. Join the conversation using hashtag SolsticeTSQ and tag at Times Square NYC. The Times Square Alliance hopes to see everyone next year for the 22nd annual Solstice in Times Square Mind Over Madness Yoga.
Matt, I'm just
Studies.
so amazed and inspired by your class. I was sitting there watching and sort of just in awe of your instruction and your heart that came through. What was your experience?
Thank you. Well, this is the first time I've done a practice in Times Square. And I am still on a blood rush of beautiful wave of energy from the people, from just the environment, and everything has just come together, the organization and the amazing teaching that I've seen throughout the day.
Well,
it really has truly been an amazing experience, and it's been a real honor to be here.
Thank you for coming and offering. I was laughing a little bit when you said that Hanumasana was the resting pose.
It is.
It is, yes.
But, it all depends. We're all different levels, all different practices.
Yeah.
And that's one of the beautiful things about being in an environment like this, is to have students and friends and family and loved ones and practice together regardless of belief, regardless of celebration, regardless of what we do, where we are in life and the level of our practice. And just to come together and maybe some of us can do a full split, maybe some of us can't. But we're together, and that's the important thing.
That's the important thing. Were you at all distracted by the distractions and the attractions?
There's a lot going on.
But I bet you were amazed as well to find that with all of this stuff going on, that you could actually find center, that you were actually able to calm down and feel the core of yourself or the center of yourself.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's strange when you see it online, obviously all the lights and the energy that you see from a distance. And then when you're here, it just feels like we're in a room shut off from the world.
Yes.
The focus, the dedication from everybody here was absolutely outstanding.
What was your preparation like for this?
Well, it was my first time in the US doing this kind of event, and so I was watching online as much as possible, looking at the event, looking about what we're doing. I think for an open level practice like this, where we have a lot of students, or a lot of us are close together, we have to be mindful of the type of postures we're going to do. And so I was obviously aware that we're not going to be doing too much jumping, too much running around. It's going to be grounding, nice, solidifying practice to close out this beautiful day we've had.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our pleasure.
My honor. Thank you very much.
Namaste.
Namaste, brother. Thank you.
We have to wave like this to let them know that we're done.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Great class.
Thank you
Thank you
very
so
much.
much.